Welcome to my live stream live from Bangkok. We have quite a few things to go over, including our top story right here. It's a pretty viral story on social media. It appears that a husband was protecting his wife from being jumped by five different women after Jason Aldean concert. We go over that footage, which was not easy to find. That then in the segment, the real man of the week today is Louis C.K., my favorite comedian. Then we're going to go over of the dating profile of the day, which is very unique because it's not perfect, but it doesn't have any actual red flags. So we're going to go over it and see if it's worth swiping right on. And then, of course, the comment of the day, we're going to talk about body counts. So, a pretty full show. But let's start with the top story where it has gone viral over the last 24 hours on social media. It appeared that a man was trying to defend his wife after Jason Aldean concert as five women jumped her. It was not very easy to find the footage, but I did, and as you can probably see, these women really do start the fight. The wife is on the left, as you can see. One of the girls attack her, but then later, as the husband jumped in, all of them attack the husband. He is on the right, and as you can see, they tackle him to the ground, tried to attack him and beat him up, but at some point he got up and laid a couple of them out. That's right. And some people are saying, well, the last couple of punches were maybe not necessary. Well, if you're being attacked by a bunch of people and you want to just try to get away, well, you probably want to lay a couple of them out so they can't go after you right away. And that's what he did. He walked away right after that. Ladies, this is what you wanted, right? Equal rights, they come with equal lefts. You wanted to get equal pay, equal rights. You essentially, Western women now act like men. Well, guess what? When you attack a man that's stronger than you, sometimes you get your ass kicked. In this case, it was, and especially if you're attacking his wife. What are you expecting? Now, I gotta say, I'm not surprised that some of the mainstream media that's covering it, they're saying, "Oh, a woman attacked a guy attacked a woman," but that's not really what happened, based on what you can see from these actual videos. Now, the ironic part is that I don't know if you know who Jason Aldean is. He is a country music singer who recently had a pretty controversial song called "Try That in a Small Town." Here's a piece.
Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road.
Yeah, so this is a bit ironic that at the concert, where obviously old school values are praised in songs, the women decided to do something that's not very old school and attack someone's wife and then attack the husband. And guess what? That's what they got. Right now, I know the last girl that he laid out actually ended up in a hospital, and to be fair, I definitely want to make sure that there is an investigation. We get all of the facts, but I do have to say that even though this footage was not easy to find, what I found was exactly what pretty much a lot of eyewitnesses are claiming, and a lot of people on social media are saying. Now, as I said, the mainstream media was definitely making it sound like a man just beat up a woman, but I was pleasantly surprised about how many Western women came to aid of the man. I don't think they've identified who he is yet, and I know there's an investigation, as there should be. But a lot of women are saying, "Listen, if this was my man, my husband, my boyfriend, my brother, or my father, I absolutely expect him to fight however many people, men or women, that are attacking me." And that's what happened here. Now, again, this is only Wednesday, and this is the third fucking story that I'm doing about women being violent against men, including the story that I did yesterday about teenage girls plotting to kill a little boy, another teenage boy, for the relationship trouble that one of them was having with him. This is the new generation of women that we're raising. They're basically men, and this is what happens when man wannabes attack a real man, and he again appears to be a real man. And a lot of women are saying like, hey, listen, this is exactly what I want to happen. Now, should it listen, these women are claiming that, oh, he was yelling at us after the concert and whatever. Well, first of all, that's not a reason to attack him physically, right? And especially his wife. But secondly, what are you doing getting drunk and getting into a vocal confrontation with other people? And again, this is only in America. This is not going to happen here in Thailand, right? Women know that they are a weaker gender. Women know to behave feminine and proper. Now, I know it's probably going to change sooner or later, hopefully after I die. But this is the reason why, one of many reasons why I moved the fuck out of America, where women are completely out of control. And why that's happening, that's what we're going to talk about in the next segment. But for now, I'm going to take a quick comment from the audience. The Rock says, yesterday you said that even chats are becoming pussies now. Well, we'll address that in the next segment, and Louis C.K. will help me. From what I know, chats can be pussies because when every day you have success with women, you start to become masculine. Well, again, you're thinking in the old school, right? You're thinking in an old school type of a way. These chats, you have to understand that these chats, when you say, they have success with women, they don't technically have success with women anymore. Yes, they get to have sex with more women and better looking women, generally speaking. But for that, as you can see, they have to scrub dishes and babysit and walk dogs and do the laundry, right? A lot of times. And don't forget, the chads, yes, a lot of women want them, but a lot of times these chads don't even know which woman to pick because they're being raised by single mothers, sim fathers, and so forth and so forth. Yeah, this is why I covered this story, because see, I thought the guy is just kind of some sort of a loser who can't get girls and whatever. So now he sees this older woman, and at least she, buys him groceries and offers sex, and in return he becomes her bitch. But once I found the video of her actual boyfriend, I was like, he seems like he can do very well with women, and yet he didn't, right? So that's why I covered that story, and this is why it was a big deal for me to cover, because it was, I would say, funny, and that's why I called it the chat bots. Came up with it myself, actually. All right, let's move on to the next segment. Oh man, I love this comedian. So let's get to it. All right, let's get to the Real Man of the Week segment, and today's Real Man of the Week is my favorite comedian, Louis C.K., who essentially tells us everything you need to know about what has happened to Western men to trigger this impossible dating scene in pretty much all Western countries. So let's listen in.
Gay men are men. You ever go into a gay-owned business? He's like, can I help you? Like, the gay's in there, but he's fucking tough now. It's my store, motherfucker. What do you want? Gay men are men now. They're fathers, they're husbands, they're men. Today's heterosexual men are faggots. I don't know how that happened. But they're fags. I'm saying that with love and as an old man on his way out the door, but they're fucking fags. They're intelligent and they're evolved, but they're fags. They're with a pajama shorts and it's just pale, almost blue. My wife got a promotion today. Oh, good for you, faggot. I'm so happy. I'm happy for him. Sounds like they have a good life together.
So he is 100% right. This is what became of Western men. They have devolved into subspecies that we now call beta males or sims. And when you have a large population of those species, well, the women figure out how to take advantage of that very quickly. We just did a story yesterday how a 30-something-year-old older woman was dating a good-looking young guy who was taking care of her baby, taking care of her dog, washing the dishes, doing the laundry, and so forth, right? Men have devolved, and what you permit you promote, and modern men have permitted women to get careers, as he mentioned at the last of his segment. um, Everything to essentially become men, right? He probably mentioned not just gay men are now real men, but it's the women who are now real men. And in the previous segment we talked about how women are now getting into fucking fights with men, right? So that's what's happening. This is why many men in America are walking away from dating women altogether. This is why men like me get the fuck out of America and go to other countries. And that's what brought me right here to Thailand, because it's a much more family oriented and traditional country than America probably will be in a long time, because men are no longer men, and women are now behaving in such a way where they've become undateable because they're essentially men. They want a lot out of each guy they're dating, and they want to offer absolutely nothing because they don't cook, they don't clean, but they get into street fights, as we saw in the previous segment. So if that's what you guys like, if you want to continue having the only women available to you are this masculine undateable women, well, then you can continue being what's the name, right? So, and by the way, I got to tell you, if you're bothered by the what you're going to be like homophobic slur, actually, fuck you, because you know what he means. And as a matter of fact, he has another pretty famous bit about why he uses that word. And one of my best friends is gay, and I kind of ran him by him. He loves Louis C.K. as well, and he's like, "Yeah, no, we totally understand." It's like using the word retarded, for example, right? Like, I would never call a mentally challenged person retarded, but I would absolutely call modern men retarded when they date modern women, in especially when it comes to right here, which is absolutely unbelievable, where the same dudes come here and simp for the women they don't have to simp for. All right, another comment. A real man, when he hears that she is a single mother, or when he sees that she is fat, leaves her immediately. Well, we do this all the time, right? With my profile, the dating profile of the day segment, right? As soon as you realize she's a single mother, unless you are a single father yourself with over 50% of custody of your child, absolutely not. Now, if you just want to, recreational use and want to just play around, I suggest you be honest with her and let her know. And if she's cool with it, then it's great. There's not a problem. As a matter of fact, a lot of times single mothers are too busy to have a full-on relationship, and they are more likely to have a more casual sexual relationship. And if that's what you're looking for, then it's a great match. But yes, as far as for real relationships, single mothers, absolutely 100% no go. Now, the only other exception, of course, is if she is in her 40s and she had a kid early on, and that child is now in college or has a job or whatever, it doesn't live with her, then it's actually not a horrible idea, but you can make exception there, so that's fine. All right, and that brings us to the next segment that I do every day, which is the dating profile of the day. Today is very unique. This lovely lady, Jill. Now we're going to go over it, and it's very interesting because it doesn't have any like red flags, deal breakers. Usually in the profiles that I review, because most Western women's profiles have at least one red flag, this one doesn't have any red flags. But it's not like a perfect profile that I had last week for you guys, which is very, very rare. So let's go over it and navigate some yellow flags, which again, you should think about before moving forward. But you want to find out if that yellow flag is acceptable and you can work around that yellow flag, or if it's a deal breaker. Now, I do want to say that because of there's just so many shitty women and profiles on dating apps all around the world, more and more men are very cautious. But I don't want you guys to miss out on good women because you saw a yellow flag and decided, well, I don't want to even deal with this, right? Let's see if we can deal with it. Now, first of all, her pictures are all very appropriate. And I would say she's not a bad looking girl at all. She's just about to hit 30. So to think about, but she's still in her 20s. Yeah. So now we do see a nose ring right here. Right now, nose rings are usually a big problem, but they're not red flags because they can be removed. As a matter of fact, I think this is the only picture where she has a nose ring. I don't see that nose rings in other pictures. Now, usually with a nose ring comes tattoos, red hair, and other bullshit. And it usually tells you that it is likely that this woman is, combative and a feminist and all those things, but not all the time. If I did not see any tattoos on her in other pictures, though she has a lot of clothes on, which is appropriate, by the way. A lot of women don't have their clothes on in a lot of profile pictures. So this is something to find out. Now, I would have that conversation, not maybe right away, but if you ended up going out on a date with her and it looks like it's something might happen, you might want to ask her, saying like, oh, "What's up with the nose ring? Like, would you ever consider like removing it?" And listen, a good woman would say, "Yeah, okay, I don't want to give this impression to my man that I'm going to be combative and so forth and so forth." And you know what? She might remove it. So the nose ring by itself is a big yellow flag, but not a red flag. So that's something to consider. Let's move on. Now she says she's curvy, which I think is actually, yeah, I guess so. Usually fat girls say they're curvy, but all right, she's 5'4". That's great. Doesn't smoke cigarettes. That's excellent. Doesn't have kids. Perfect, but may want them. Even more perfect. Okay, now she has dogs. Now, normally this is again a yellow flag, not a red flag, because did she make a decision for her future boyfriend or husband about something that only two people should decide together? And she just didn't give a fuck, saying, "Well, we're having a dog. If you don't want it, then fuck off," right? And this is absolutely undateable and non-marriage material girl. And she obviously doesn't care if maybe the man is allergic to a dog or doesn't like dogs or doesn't like to walk and pick up poop after dogs, or somebody died, maybe her parents died and it was a family dog and she was the only one who could take the dog in, right? That would be okay. And also depends, does she actually, take care of you and say, well, if maybe you don't like dogs, or this is a trained dog that's well behaved, and maybe you like dogs as well, and the dog is something that you actually want in your life. Now, of course, much like children, don't forget, if you break up with this girl, you don't get that dog, right? All right, let's move on. She says, nursing student, so I have a busy schedule. Now, listen, she also says that she's employed part time. You gotta figure out if this woman is super duper busy to the point where you're gonna have to work around her schedule, which should never be the case, or she's actually flexible. She is busy with getting her, maybe a better type of a job, but not a career, and she is willing to still work with your schedule, and that's okay. But you got to find out, and usually that's something that you can find out pretty quickly, right? As soon as the rule number one is that you need to invite a girl who you met on the dating app or in person to see you for a cup of coffee within 48 to 72 hours. And if she says, "I am busy," then you move on. So this will reveal itself very, very quickly. And I got to tell you, the rest of it is pretty fine. It says she's enjoying new things, learning from. Now, she says, "I love to cook." I got to tell you, that's a big deal. A lot of men, a lot of you guys don't realize that it's a must do. A woman who knows how to cook and actually cooks. In this case, if she loves it, even better. Yes, a lot of us go out and take our girls out for dinners and whatever. But generally speaking, that is an absolute must have skill for a woman to be dateable. Cooking. Everybody can clean, but she obviously needs to be a clean person and clean and stuff like that. Now, she also says, I'm assuming she meant, I go to the gym almost on the daily. Another thing, if she wants to be in shape, she takes care of her health, and it looks like she wants a man who does the same thing. That is a green flag. This is great. A lot of girls don't go to the gym. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I walk from work to my car, and that's my exercise." Or I walk around the mall shopping. Unless your heartbeat goes over 100 and you're sweating, it's not exercises. Okay, it's not. So, girl who goes to the gym, kudos to her. So I got to tell you, if you can get a few things out of the way, literally, when I'm talking about her nose ring. And if you find out what led her to a decision to get a dog when she knows that it can limit her choices in men, if you can find out if her schedule is flexible enough for somebody who she sees as a good man, then this profile becomes swipe right on. And again, very easy to dismiss though, right? These profiles are very easy to dismiss because there's like, oh, and then but guys, nothing is perfect in this life, right? It is hard to find a good woman as is. So you're not going to find a perfect one anymore, even though I did feature a relatively perfect profile last week, but that was rare. I told you it took me an entire week of swiping left and right on this dating apps to actually find that one. So what you got to work with is profiles like this, where you got to see through the yellow flags, but then you also need to have balls to ask them and investigate sooner rather than later. Now, of course, my suggestion for not having to deal with all of this is to, get your shit and leave. Go to the country. If you're a good man who will make a great husband and you've made something of yourself, you improve yourself all the time, come to a country where you're appreciated, because it ain't America and it ain't Great Britain or any other of the Western countries. Women there just don't know what a good man is anymore, because they're being raised by single mothers and sim fathers, and it's a lot nowadays. It's not even their fault. So consider that. All right, let's move on to let me change the background too, and got to do a little bit of setup here. There's a million things to do since I'm running my own live stream. Yesterday I had so many technical issues, it was embarrassing. But when I reposted that, which I do every day, it was all fixed. But yes, I barely got up yesterday to get to the live stream, and my brain just was not there. Sometimes that's just the case, right? So, all right. The comment of the day comes from a man this time around. And we're going to talk about something that I absolutely differ with the main red pill influencers like Fresh and Fit, the whatever podcast, the Pearly Things, I think Andrew Tate. I agree with them like about 70%. But those 30% that they're peddling to you guys, I absolutely 100% disagree. So, let's read this comment, and I'll tell you the context of this comment, because on Monday I covered a story about the former WWE star Nikki Garcia, who started promoting the slow dating type of dating, which essentially means that a girl drags a guy along for a long time until he gets any. Meanwhile, she will get the free dinners, the drinks, the attention, the validation, the time, and all of that stuff, right? This is the slow dating bullshit that I covered, which I think is a horrible idea for pretty much everybody, but especially women like her who are single in their 40s. So this comment was on that video. So now this guy says, honestly, I agree with her. All young women should date this way. Why? If we want low body counts that requires the ladies to better pre-screen their partners, she is attempting to address the whole dating culture epidemic by holding herself to a higher standard of self-respect. We want a traditional women back. This is how traditional women dated for long-term marriage success. Better late than never, especially as a role model of other young women just starting their husband hunting journey. Right. Wrong. uh, this is the problem with low body count. Now, I think this high body count sort of a rejection came from, like I said, Andrew Tate's of the world, and they're completely 100% incorrect. And I'll tell you why. Now, listen, when we're talking about like dozens and dozens of dudes, by the end of your 20s, yeah, that's a hoe. That's a girl who goes out, gets drunk, lets anybody stick it into her, does it all the time without thinking, without protection. Yeah, this is bad. This is bad in many different ways, including STD scares and stuff like that. But somebody who genuinely wanted to date men and it didn't always work out, and yes, she ended up having sex with them, which, by the way, women should want to do with men as well, as part of them exploring and getting to know men, right? Because a woman also wants a man who's a good match in the bedroom. So these women, had sex with men who they genuinely wanted to get into the relationships, but it didn't work out. Now, again, if we're talking about dozens and dozens and dozens, then that's a different story. But a girl who has had, a few sex partners, either, sometimes for pleasure, but a lot of times because she's definitely trying to get to know a guy, there's not only nothing wrong with that, because obviously she needs to pick the right guys, use protection, make sure their STD checks done, the actual dating stuff. So a woman in her late 20s can have, a dozen of guys that, she genuinely, wanted to pursue a relationship with, but things didn't work out. Here's the problem with women who essentially try to date but withhold sex from men even though they want to. First, that means a girl's playing a game, right? To me, if a girl wants to have sex with me, she should have sex with me. If she doesn't, that means there's a game. That means she is withholding sex as a bargaining chip in a relationship, right? And she's now in charge of that relationship because you're becoming her bitch. Okay, I will do this and I will do this with the hopes to maybe have sex with her. Now, to me, that is unacceptable, number one. Number two, let me tell you what happens, because I live in a country where there are a lot of these women have a low body count. The other day I was with a girl who I was her second guy, and she is in her, I think she's 35, right? The other day I was also with a girl who is 45, but she hasn't had sex for 23 years. Let me tell you what happens with women who have low body count. They are really, really, really bad at sex. And they have no real interest in it really anymore. They're not interested in bringing anything to the table, keeping your sex life spicy, trying something new, and generally please men. Because to them, it's more of like a wifely duties. That's just a side effect of their feelings, which sex isn't. Sex is a physical pleasure activity. That's it. So if you are a guy who's looking for a wife to have a horrible sex with for the rest of your life, I don't know what to tell you. But in my case, my sex life is very important to me. And the only way to have a sex life is with somebody who actually likes sex. And women who like sex have sex. Okay. For example, I like sex and I have sex all the time. I also like chocolate and I eat chocolate all the time. I also love mango sticky rice. And that's one of the best things about Thailand. I'm kidding, but it's still very delicious no matter how many times I have it. So, by the way, let me know, guys. What is your favorite Thai food? Do you like Thai food, and what's your favorite one? Let's talk about it at the end of the show. Maybe I just popped into my brain. So, the body count becomes a very relative number. But if it is low, I gotta tell you, you're not going to have a good sex life. Now, let's visit the part where this guy says, well, this is not a traditional woman. I disagree. I not only live in a country where, women are traditional and their family values, I visited quite a few of them. I visited almost every country in Southeast Asia. I was born in Russia. I visited China. I just went to Africa, in Egypt. Was, Mexico, Canada, America, all of those countries. Okay, I got to tell you, no, there are plenty of traditional women who are also sexual human beings, and they do end up having sex. Again, you can't have both. To me, and again, you can call it what you will. I don't even give a shit about what the name is. A woman needs to act traditionally, means submissive, respectful, and all of those things. Whatever you want to call it, I call it traditional. But at the same time, she needs to like sex and she needs to be good at it. Otherwise, I don't want it. I don't want to marry a girl who's perfect and all of this, and she can cook and she can clean and she's, all of those great things. But my sex life sucks. And I got to tell you, that's the only thing that's going to happen. And by the way, spare me all this bullshit about, oh, I'm going to teach her. Listen, if somebody doesn't like something, it doesn't matter how much. Have you ever seen those parents who teach their kid to like play violin or play soccer, and the kid fucking doesn't want to do it? That kid is always bad at it. Always bad at it. Those kids who you see running around, whatever, playing soccer, and when they suck, it's because their parents forcing them to do it, and they just have to do it, but they don't want to, and that's why they suck at it. My parents wanted me to play violin when I was a child. You know how bad I suck at violin? Oh yeah, I didn't want to do it. Same thing, same thing. So, oh, I'm going to teach you. First of all, what do you, how the fuck you just going to teach everything? You don't know everything. That's the whole point, that someone who has some experience with other people, other sex partners, will bring something to the table, and most importantly, bring the fact that she wants it, and she wants to keep it going, and she wants to try something new, and she wants to keep it spicy. Those women who refrain from sex and use it as a bargaining chip with men are not going to be any of that. So I propose to you that there are a woman can still be very much traditional and still be a sexual being that will give you a great sex life. And by the way, also understand the fact that you cannot be monogamous with her. For example, I cannot be monogamous. I have never been monogamous in any of my serious relationships. So this is why I reject this whole body count bullshit. And at the same time, I'm also just going to ask you guys, for those who like absolutely need the low body count, um, does it really matter if she had one guy before you, or let's say 20 guys before you? Like, what is the difference at that point? She's either had men inside of her before you, or she hasn't. Now, if she is a virgin, that's a whole new story. It's like adopting a kitten, right? If you want to get a nice lap cat who will purr on your lap when you're watching TV, you do not adopt a kitten. You adopt an older cat that you already know that's how they are. So you do not adopt a kitten, because this kitten could be like a mischievous piece of shit who will just be running around and tearing out your pillows. So a virgin, it is a absolutely pretty much guaranteed sexual disaster. So all of this thing that I want to be your girl, it's bullshit, guys. It is complete bullshit. It's like saying, like, I don't, like, this woman has talked to other men before me. It's a little too ridiculous. And like I said, you can't have it both ways. If you want to have a good sex life, you're going to have to get a girl who has some experience with men sexually. All right, let me catch up on the comments. Um, the Rock says, I'm pragmatic guy, and if devil forced me, I choose a girl with 100 bodies that feels sorry for her past than a girl with 5 bodies that still jumps from one guy to the next. Would you choose the same as me? So I'm not really sure if those are the actual like choices, right? To me, yes. If a girl has had 100, that's a little too many. But okay, let's just go with this, right? Obviously, I want to ask why, right? Like, me, for example, is she a sex addict? Is she just never happy with a guy? She just has absolutely no way to create emotional attachment to any other human being, right? Well, those are deal breakers that have nothing to do with sex. High body count here is sort of indication of something else. I'm talking about a body count of 10 to 20. If you're dating a girl in her maybe late 20s or early 30s, to me, that's not only reasonable, that's kind of almost desirable. Now, listen, I have been with girls who I was only a second or third guy, and they were great. You know what I mean? But it's, again, like, if you think you're going to get those exceptions, it's not. And the only reason for that, now that I think about it, is because those girls that I dated like that, they got married out of high school and were with their husbands for like 8 to 10 years. So that's why they have a body count of one or maybe two, right? But if they were single or in different, short-term relationships throughout their 20s, that body count would have gone up. So yeah, I mean, to me, the number of partners that the girl had doesn't really matter unless it's very low. But even if it is low, at the end of the day, what matters to me, the quality of sex. And if she has a really high body count, then why? Right? Is she done with that phase? Well, I mean, is it fixable, curable, and so forth? But generally speaking, I care about my sex life being good, not on day one, but after 5 years or 10 years. And those women who abstain from sex from a long period of time, look at it as a bargaining chip, as part of the game, you're not going to have a good sex life with them. Now, The Rock continues saying, are guys doing the right thing over obsessing over the body counts? I meanwhile care about her ability to be loyal to me, not so much her past. Yes. So, like I said, I think this body count thing was brought in by like Andrew Tates of the world, which, are right 70% of the time about what's going on in the sort of dating world, but absolutely 100% brutally wrong about a lot of things. Um, there are a lot of other things that I've already talked about, how the like mainstream red pill movement with, Myrons of the world and, the whatever podcast, forget his name, Brian's of the world, sort of uh, um, present themselves. And listen, to me, as long as you want to hold a girl to a higher standard that most guys are holding them, I'm good with it. Um, what the standards are, this is what is up for debate here. I know some guys who just don't need good sex, right? If there's a warm hole to enjoy once in a while and it's for like 3 or 5 minutes and that's good enough, then you know what? If the high body count bothers you, then here we go. For me, sex is such an important part, not of a relationship, but just in generally in my life. This is another reason why I came to Thailand, because sex is not a problem here at all, at all. Now, as I said, the problem is that there are a lot of girls who have a very low body count, and when you hook up with them, you go like, God, that wasn't worth it. I should have watched the movie. So that's it is what it is. But I just want to address this, that and again, let's go back to the video that this comment was submitted to. It was about the slow dating concept, right? The problem with the slow dating concept is that it's not that these women are pacing themselves when they don't want to spread their legs too fast for the guy, which, okay, I can appreciate that, but they're making the guy spread his wallet while she's not spreading her legs all the time. Spread his wallet, spread his calendar, spread his, time away from the friends and all of that stuff, right? That's the problem with a slow dating. Also, slow dating means that you may not be able to meet this girl for quite some time, right? She'll chat with you and chat, but she also means just chatting with other 10, like 10 other guys. That's where the body count matters, actually, right? If she's splitting her time between 10 other guys right now, then it's a problem. But most importantly, like a lot of these girls, the first date is one of the most important things in the first, I would say, 3 months of your potential relationship. 99% of my first dates fail because of how fast I cut them off. Usually it is by, unmatching them for, how this style of communication, the fact that they take forever to reply, the fact that they're rude, the fact that they don't know what they, so many things why I unmatch and just I'm gone. But the first date is very important because it tells you, what does she look like in person? Did she dress up? Did she put an effort into impressing you with her looks? Was she on time? If she was running late, was she letting you know and apologizing, all of this stuff? What is the chemistry? Just when you are in, is there a chemistry? Sometimes there's nothing wrong with the girl and she looks exactly the same and she's polite and she's kind and everything, but there's no chemistry with a girl like that, right? So meeting a girl, I never ever, well, there are some exceptions. For example, if I'm traveling or she is maybe in the middle of finals week and she's a young girl in her like early 20s, acceptable, right? If she puts enough effort into like video chats. But again, there's very, very few exceptions. But if the girl is not willing to meet you 48 hours, 72 hours max, then you just move the fuck on. This slow dating bullshit, it's yet another way how, modern women now figured out, it's one, how to take advantage of men to get their attention, validation, and money while giving nothing in return. But most importantly, they figured out how to be single in their 40s without any idea how really crucially bad emergency situation it is. And you guys have seen plenty of videos on my channel with more and more women coming out in their 30s and 40s saying, hey, where all the good men are, I wish I didn't spend my 20s, fucking around, getting a career, being independent and stuff like that. Once I hit 30, or especially once I hit 40, all these men are turning away from me. Am I not dateable? And so forth and so forth. Yesterday, as to remind you, I did a reaction to the video of this girl who is in her 30s and she's already, tattooed, overweight, single mother, all of those, all things. But as she realized that, that real men who she wants don't want her anymore. She ended up dating younger guys, and that's what we talked about earlier in the live stream. That essentially will be your bitch and watch your kids and do the laundry and wash the dishes and stuff like that. So if you didn't see that, I already reposted that one segment here on YouTube, where I pretty much post all of my long form content. So all right. That's the show. I got to tell you guys, I am bothered by the fact that we are it is Wednesday here, and we are now covering a third story. I am covering now the third story about essentially violence against men. It is crazy. It is crazy that comes down to I would rather cover like dating topics and men's rights topics, but this whole thing where the modern dating and the modern societies are going is bothersome. I don't know if you've seen the um, I don't know if you've seen the Netflix special Adolescence. It's not the most exciting one, but you got to watch it. It's a 4-part. I've already did a video about that, actually, a couple. And it's essentially predicting that most likely men will start becoming much more violent against women. Right now, as you can see, women are having at it. Though this guy right here, was defending his wife and himself, and kudos to him for, saying, I don't care if it's what's between the legs of this person who's trying to attack my wife. I'm going to protect her, and I'm going to protect myself. And I think it was, reasonable. But, I think the frustration of some men who are frustrated with the amount of disrespect, amount of physical abuse and violence that they go through, sometimes in relationships, sometimes not, at the hands of women. I think it will start spilling off into, unfortunately, violent incidents, and we're going to see more and more of that. And unfortunately, a lot of times, my top stories, probably, if I'm still doing it in another year, I hope I am, are going to be stories like that. I hope things get turned around, guys. I really do. But at this point, and this entire live stream is literally all about how pretty much women became men and men became women, and this is why dating is just a fucking disaster nowadays in modern societies. But I gotta tell you, this is why, as much as I feel the pain for you guys in Western countries, and I know a lot of you guys are just walking away now, you got to get here. You don't have to be in Thailand. I love Thailand. That's the country for me. I hope this is where I'm at for the rest of my life. But you got to first get, like, by the way, I wasn't, because I've never been to Thailand before I moved here, right? I just got here. My number one goal was to just get the fuck away from America and from American women and from the American society and fucking wokeness and all that bullshit, right? And then I was like, okay, well, let me get out first, and then I will find a new home, right? So it just happened that I landed in Thailand first because I already had some friends here. But I really thought that Philippines was going to be my resting home, I was going to say, but my destination. I recently went to Kenya, right? Even though Thailand is my home, but I always wondered what could have been with Kenya and Nairobi and African countries. And I came back here saying, as you guys know, if you follow my channel, I budgeted about a month in Kenya, and I came back after 2 weeks. It was that horrible of the dating scene, and I love black women, so that's how bad it was in Kenya in terms of how bad the dating scene is. So, all right, guys, I'm back tomorrow at the same time with another Manosphere news story. What are we doing tomorrow? I think we're doing Delulu of the week. Forgot my own segments, but anyway, and then of course we're still going to do the comment of the day and the dating profile of the day. It's becoming easier and easier to find these profiles for you, because there's just so many red flags and poison and toxicity in almost every single profile. Now I might switch from Sacramento to another city. Maybe I'll switch to New York, and because I wanted to kind of maybe move to maybe a bit of a different culture. But I'm also going to switch my location to something like Oklahoma City, right? Something a little bit more old school, right? Pennsylvania, whatever that concert was. Maybe a little bit of a smaller town, and see if the dating apps are a little bit different there. I have to say, I doubt it. So, all right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmanproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your